You're going to do this exercise sitting in a chair, which is very practical as you can practice easily during the day. So you're going to sit right in the middle of your sit bones. So you're not sitting in the back of your sit bones or you're sitting too far forward. So find the middle of your sit bones, which is going to help align the spine in your head. And so once you find your the middle sit bones, and then really simple exercise, right? Interlace your hands and place your hands behind your head, but make sure that your hands don't push your head forward. You don't want to stress your neck, so the hands are gently placed behind your head. And from here, and you're starting to bring your elbows apart slowly. I'm going to turn this way so you can see elbows apart until you start to feel the stretching and lengthening of your chest muscles, right? All these front muscles that tend to be tight from activities that you do during the day, whether it's driving, typing, using the phone, things like that. So a lot of activities, your daily activities involve activation of the use of the flexor muscles, right? And then these muscles are, now this exercise and this movement is going to be actually moving you into the opposite directions. So be gentle with the movement and slowly move your elbows apart until you start to feel a lengthening and stretch, but not pain, right? So you don't force it and move slowly and ease into that range. And then you're going to gain more if you don't force it. And then you breathe, make sure you don't hold your breath, and make sure you don't push your head forward with your hands. And then hold that range for a few seconds, and then starting to relax and then bring your elbows forward. And then bring your elbows apart. You should also feel some muscle activities around your middle back as you're bringing your elbows outward directions. So you are activating the extension muscles. Again, the opposite muscles of what you use a lot during the day, which is the flexor muscles, right? So you're using the muscles that non-habitual muscles, as opposed to the habitual muscles that tend to be more the front muscles. So you go through this exercise, and whenever you can at work, you get a couple minutes, just take 1 minute rest, and then you can just do this movement and a few times. You don't have to do a certain repetitions, you do it a few times. Again, the purpose of this movement is to inform your nervous system and remind you of what your habitual movement patterns, which is this, and what's a non-habitual movement patterns, which is moving out of that patterns. And then by repeating that movement and then really reminding your nervous system, reminding yourself about, that's right, and I'm doing this again, I can also train myself to move out of that. Okay, so the more you remind yourself, and then the more that you can actually move out and move into the movement out of the habitual patterns and habitual posture, then also you can also move out of that patterns, and then you can start to actually change your posture. All right, and the next one, and so the next one is the hamstring stretch, and you can do sitting in a chair again. Again, another practical one. You can do it during the work, at home, sitting in a couch, the chair. So, why is the hamstring stretch? Because these hamstring muscles tends to get tight and short from lots of sitting. Sitting in a chair, you don't really have a chance to lengthen your hamstring. So over time, years and years of doing sitting in a chair, and it's maybe from a work, school, or just sitting in your house on the couch, and that the muscles over the years, and it starts to become short and tight naturally. And so that's why the effect is, as the muscles become tight, these hamstrings muscles become tight, and what it tends to do is it tends to move the pelvis backwards. Okay, so that is actually going to move you into this rounded slouch posture. So having a tight and short hamstring muscle doesn't really help you to move out of that pattern, right? And as much as you want to train yourself out of that habitual patterns, If the muscles are so tight and then that's limiting you from moving out of that patterns, then you probably need to train yourself to actually move out of that patterns by lengthening your hamstrings. So, and you have to be really, really specific and then very particular about how you move and how you stretch your hamstring muscles. So you put your one leg forward, all right, and then I'm just going to do my left side. And when you do this one, you don't focus on, you don't do this, okay? And this is really not so much about the strength, the stretching and lengthening the hamstring. What you really want to do is you want to move your pelvis, okay? You're going to move your pelvis forward. And as you begin to roll the pelvis forward, and then you start to feel the stretching and lengthening of your hamstrings, the back of your thigh muscles here. All right? So you really want to train this movement with your posture together, because you want to associate this position and then the movement of your pelvis with that lengthening of your hamstrings. So as you're sitting, your nervous system starts to adapt that posture and then use it. As opposed to here, you maintain in your pelvis and roll backwards directions. And then there's no association and link between your pelvis and your spine. Then you really can't train out of your habitual patterns. So you have to really think about this pelvis, right? And so this is going to lengthen your hamstrings here. So you can hold that position. While you're doing the work, you can also do little movements like that, rolling the pelvis forward until you feel a little bit of lengthening. That's all. You don't need intense stretching discomfort. You need just a little bit, enough that you can start to feel that lengthening, which is new to you, right? The reason why it becomes tight is because you don't use it, because you don't move into that direction. So by just gently moving into that direction is already informing you, your nervous system, about the movement patterns and then moving out of the habitual patterns. So practice that, okay? And while you're doing the work, computer work, desk work, right, then you can start to incorporate that movement, and that is going to strengthen, stretch the hamstrings. And if you want, and you can combine this hamstring stretching with the other one that I showed you, right? Here you roll the pelvis forward and then you maintain it. And then you can add this one too. So now you're associating that opening your front muscles and engaging these muscles with the pelvis coming into the neutral. So that's another way to do that. You don't have to do them all together, but you can certainly do that too. Okay. And I want to show you this nice stretching. If you do have one of these foam rollers, it's really nice to use it. If you don't, and if you have a yoga mat, you can roll up a yoga mat. That could work. And if you don't worry, and you can use a blanket. If one blanket is not enough, you can roll up a couple blankets. But a height, the length should be about the length of from the top of your head to your tailbone, so that you can lie down lengthwise on the blanket or yoga mat or the foam roll. Okay? So you're going to lie down on top of the foam roll or blanket or yoga mat. Be sure that your head is well supported. So, but if you have kyphosis and your head is not comfortably laying on the surface, you can use the pillow, you can use a folded towel underneath so that your neck muscles, your head is well supported. Okay. And then have your legs bent. And so first, if you're never used to lying on the foam roll like this, it may take a little time to get used to just balancing on top of the foam roll. But if you've done that, then you're probably used to it already. So what you're going to do is, so with your palms facing towards the ceiling, and you're going to lift your shoulders just a little bit, not to lift your arms, but lift your shoulders, round your shoulders a little bit, okay? Upward directions, towards the ceiling. Not too much. Move them up a little bit and hold that position. So basically, I'm asking you to move your shoulders into your habitual directions, right? Forward, rounded, forward shoulder posture. And you hold that position, posture. It's kind of exaggerating your posture. About 10 seconds or so, and then slowly, very slowly, it starts to let go. And then feel the weight over your shoulders moving backward direction towards the floor. Okay, so now the gravity is assisting your shoulders to move backward directions, which is non-habitual directions, right? So you want to train yourself to move into that direction more. So you're going to alternate that movements, moving into or exaggerating your habitual posture and movement. And then hold it 10 seconds or so. So you can feel and you can inform your nervous system about this is my posture and this is what I do all day long. Okay, so I can feel that, and I can feel more because I'm exaggerating it now. And then I'm starting to let go. Then I can feel, oh, that feels very different. Now I feel my shoulders kind of sinking back towards the floor. And I feel the lengthening and opening of my chest, which is quite different. Not used to feeling that during the day, because I'm always moving into the opposite directions, right? So you kind of talk to your own mind and brain and say, oh, I want to move into that directions more. But you have to really remind yourself that, oh, this is what I do. And then this is what I want to do now, right? And so feel that opening and feel that movement. So you can do that very slowly a few times. And if it feels good, you can just lay down on the foam for a few minutes. And this is a really nice way to let go of all the tension and the muscle tone of the front muscles, your pec muscles, your neck muscles. You can allow these muscles to let go. And then the shoulders naturally starts to kind of fall backwards directions. Okay, and carefully you can roll off of the foam roller, and that's it. So this is maybe not as practical, as you have to be in a place where you can lie down, and you need a yoga mat, blanket, or foam roller, one of these. But the two other ones, you can do in a chair. So that's easy to do. So please remember, stretching muscles and strengthening the muscles, they're not going to change your posture. It feels good. It does stretch your muscles. It does strengthen the muscles. But that's really not the cause of your posture, right? So the posture is a reflection of years and then years of your habitual movement patterns. So you have to change your movement patterns. Retrain your movement, retrain your body. Then you can change your posture. All right.